a moment because we've just got on the phone his promoter and Tyson Fury's promoter, Frank Warren, has just come onto the line on talkSPORT, so we can get his view on what's next and, of course, more importantly, what's happening with that contract between Joshua and Fury. So let's say hello and good afternoon to Frank Warren. How are you, Frank?
How are you doing, Frank?
How are you, Darren? Hi, Andy.
Hey, Frank.
Thank you.
Listen, I'll start in no particular order, but I just made a joke of it just as we came on air at 5 o'clock that, that contract had to be signed by then or the fight was off. What is the latest with the contract between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua?
We're trying to get it done by today. We're working very hard to try and get it over the line.
Okay. If it's not signed today, can it be signed tomorrow?
Well, Tyson's position at the moment is, he's look, if we agreed everything and it was that everybody gave undertaking, I'm sure we could do it that way. But Tyson's, told me what he wants. He said they've had the contract for 10 days and he's lost patience with it. So we're trying to make it work, I think. And we had a couple of there was a good meeting today. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, what's the hold up there, Frank? Because, I mean, we know that, we know the terms that were delivered, that it was a 60-40 split, which was very generous by Tyson Fury. I think even Anthony Joshua recognised that. We knew that if Joshua won the fight, it was a 50-50 split in the rematch. So, I mean, what are the complications? Because I think that you said that it was quite happy to go on DAZN and BT as well. So,
yeah.
What else? What are the hold-ups? Because
we're waiting for it to come back. It's not come back. The contract's not come back. They said we've agreed certain things. They're waiting for it to come back, and we've been waiting for 10 days since not this Friday before.
Yeah, because
I've got no idea.
I saw Joshua put out a post saying, this is with a legal team and these things take time, etc. But I thought it was quite plain and simple, if I'm honest. If that was the terms that you were looking for, which was very good in Joshua's favour, if I'm totally honest. It seems that he's just coming off 2 losses. I don't see what the hold up would be. Is there anything else?
No, there's nothing as far as we're concerned. I think we thought we got it over the line more or less, but we haven't. We can't have until we get back. They've had the contract. They've got to come back to us now. There's been a lot of conversations, but they haven't come back with a contract. So my son George spoke with the other side today, and they said we get it back. So we're waiting for it still.
Why the rush, Frank? Why can't it be tomorrow or Wednesday?
Well, because how long can we keep pushing it back? We're not that far away from December the 3rd. We've got to get it up on sale and book. We've got the venue book, but we've got to do it. There's a lot of organisation involved,
and you also have to find another opponent if Joshua doesn't sign that contract, etc.
Exactly, and it's look. Let's get it in. If he doesn't take the fight, if it doesn't happen, then he's got to fight his way back into a mandatory position. That may take him 2 or 3 fights if he wins them all. In the meantime, Tyson will fight now, and he'll fight Usyk in the spring. If he beats Usyk, he's got to fight. He'll have to fight Tyson anyway if he gets into the mandatory, and he'll get 20%. It's a no-brainer what's on the table.
Okay, before we move on, I want to get your view on what's next for Joe Joyce. Before we do, just in your opinion, do you think this fight will be made, the contract will be signed?
Look, my heart says yes, but my brain at the moment is that all these delays are just not. We've not had a contract back yet, so we're running against the clock now.
And Frank, will Tyson stick to his word if that contract doesn't come back by today? I know he's an unpredictable guy. So I was saying, would you think it's highly likely that he will walk away from the fight?
I think he will. He's extended it a few times. I hope we get it done. I hope we. Look, you all get on the phone, get the lawyers on the phone. It's not rocket science. This is not the Encyclopedia Britannica. It's a pretty simple contract.
Frank, I've got to ask you about the performance at the weekend of Joyce. Great performance, knocking out Joseph Parker. I mean, how impressed were you with his performance? And did you know he had that type of performance in him? Yeah,
I mean, look, obviously we promote him, and he's going into that fight, he'd only had 14 fights. And you look at Parker's experience, he's a former world champion. He's only been beaten twice, and both of those were on points. I think he got 28 knockouts on his record. So you look at all that, and it was for Joe, it was the most experienced and I think the toughest opponent that he's been in with since he's a pro. But we were determined to get it on. We worked very hard to get it on, and we only did that because we believe in our man. And he was outstanding. I mean, his jab was brilliant. That's the key for me for the fight. His strength and his jab, and also I know he got caught a few times, but I'll tell you something. He's a bit of a phenomenon, and I mean, it must be so, demoralising if you're a fighter and you hit someone full on the chin and they don't move.
I'm telling you.
Blink.
Frank, let me ask you. You obviously promote both Tyson Fury and Joe Joyce. And Joe Joyce, from what I read and listen, he wants Usyk next. But if this fight you're talking about with Joshua doesn't happen with Fury, he'll want Usyk next. You look after both of them, so there is, I suppose you could argue, maybe a conflict of interest. If they both want Usyk, how does that work?
Well, not really, because the situation is, I mean, it's not like it's it's not known what's going on. Is that the mandatory was hoping to get that on in December? The unification, that's not happened, but it will happen in the spring, and then he will get the winner of that fight because he's the mandatory in the WBO, and on the other side you've got Daniel Dubois, who's also a mandatory for the WBA. So that is what will happen if whoever, I think it's Tyson who wins, if he wants to keep all the titles or vacate them, or whatever he wants to do. So at the end of the day, it's going to be about who's the winner. But they are in great positions, fabulous positions.
I mean, they really are, Frank, haven't they? I mean, there's so many moving parts in this heavyweight division, as there has been for the last couple of years, really. If we get this fight, and we do get this fight over the line, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, and Joshua ends up winning, there's a rematch clause in place, so that goes on. Then that's a way that Joe Joyce then could get the automatic shot straight at Alexander Usyk in possibly March or April. So that is a possibility as well, isn't it?
That is, provided we get this fight, get this over the line with AJ.
Yeah, exciting times. You're holding a lot of the cards in the heavyweight division right now, Frank.
Well, we work very hard. I mean, we work with our guys to get them into the positions they're in, and thankfully, at the moment, it's all worked out. And they're all good fighters. And more importantly, they're all in these good spots and they're all British.
Frank, after that performance at the weekend from Joe, do you think a lot of the heavyweights in the division will be thinking, I don't want to fight him?
I wouldn't want to. I mean, I'll say obviously I wouldn't want to fight him. But, no, I think he's a fighter that he will be avoided. I mean, he's just so strong. He's relentless. I mean, he's got the most apt name in boxing, nickname, which is the Juggernaut. I mean, it's exactly what he is.
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting there at ringside live on Saturday night, Frank, and watching his last performance against Christian Hammer, I've come to realise that Joe Joyce, if he boxes someone at a much lesser level, he boxes terribly. And when he boxes someone who you think is at a much higher level, like Daniel Dubois when he won that fight, and this one, especially against Joe Joyce, and he showed his boxing IQ, the way he worked his jab, the way he ground him down, and the shots, that relentless pressure for 11 rounds, you just go, I don't know how this guy gets beat, because this was a coming of age fight really for Joe Joyce, wasn't it? As in, I know he's 37 years of age, but this is the one that's going to tell us whether he really was the real deal at world level. And I just thought that was an absolutely superb performance on Saturday night for a number of reasons. I think he ticks all the boxes, and he's going to be a tough guy to beat. Let's say if he boxed Alexander Usyk next, I'd give him a big chance of beating Usyk just on the sheer pressure, the size, and the way that he cuts down that space. I think he's got a massive chance against Usyk.
I genuinely think he beats Usyk. I think he'd be too big for him, and I don't think Usyk will have the power to stop him. But on Saturday, what I liked about him was his variety of shots. I mean, he broke Parker down. He was very brave, by the way. He was a very brave fighter. He broke him down, and he was throwing great body shots, really good body shots, as well as his jab. I thought he just worked to his game plan and just basically completely outfought him. All the way through, outfought him, and at the end that shot, that left hook was tremendous.
Frank, listen, thank you for coming on. Just ever so quickly, just to reiterate, in case people are turning on their radio now for the very first time, we are 17 minutes past 5. That contract between Fury and Joshua should have been signed by 5. It's still not. In your opinion, you don't think that fight's going to be made? Is that right?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it was never going to get signed by 5 o'clock. That was the ultimatum that Tyson put on. But we're waiting for it to come back. And if it comes back and we can get things sorted out quickly, hopefully we might be able to get it on. But it's Tyson's sort of basically lost patience. They've had it for 10 days, and that's where we're at.
When do you think the deadline is then? If it's passed now, is it tonight, end of play today, Monday or Tuesday?
Well, I don't like deadlines. I don't like doing all this, but that's what Tyson said, so that's where we are. So we've just got to keep working and see where we get with it.
Okay, Frank, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for
Frank.
coming on.
Cheers, Frank.
There you go. You know what? I love Frank One because he comes on and he tells you exactly as it is.
He's an honest guy. He just exactly what he does.
Maybe if Tyson Fury's listening, he's phoned up talkSPORT before if he's only called.
Well, listen, I didn't want to sling you under the bus there about the Joyce thing. I want to get into that, by the way.
We'll talk about that when we come
Good.
back.
I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, can't wait.
Anyway, I'm shooting off now.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.